Persuasive Speech by Anissa Fajardo. Why social media is more toxic than good. Social media. Seems like everybody has a love and hate relationship with platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. While I agree there are very much wonderful things about these platforms, I believe the silver lining is mostly toxic and there is an underlying need to bring awareness to it. I will provide you with at least 3 reasons why social media is more toxic than good. Let's start by defining what really is social media. Per Google's definition of social media is websites and applications, sometimes referred to as apps, that enable users to create and share content or participate in social networking. One of the problems with this is that it can get highly addictive. While you may or may not post into your profile or update us on your latest latte, or even inform us your latest workout selfie, we often find ourselves checking in every 20 minutes, or worse, every 5 minutes if bored. According to an article by keepitusable.com, 72% of online adults use social media, and the average, that's just the average, user spends 23 hours a week on social media. That's equivalent of a part-time job. Think about it. When was the last time you voluntarily put your phone down and resisted the urge to check in? How long did that last? The truth is, unless we're in a very important meeting, or we are the bride or groom getting married on our wedding day, or if we are the surgeon or patient on our surgery day, we always find a way to check in and see what the world's up to. People even use their phones during church, the one place I personally feel like should not be allowed. It just doesn't feel right to be praising the Lord and be in the middle of repenting our sins while scrolling down Facebook and liking one of the Kardashians' vacation posts, or retweeting one of your old high school's acquaintance posts about their complaints on how someone cut them off in traffic. It is just impossible to not check your phone, that they don't even have flip phones anymore. I bet people wouldn't carry a flip phone even if it was free. Even the Obama phones are smartphones. And a study from Harvard University showed that self-disclosure online fires up a part of the brain that also lights up when taking an addictive substance like cocaine. The funny thing is, even though social media is supposed to make us connect with our people we mostly care about at all times, no matter where they are in the world, it makes us less social and less present in the moment. People seem to be worried about documenting their own experiences and how it turns out instead of actually fully feeling and being with the current event. Which brings me to my second point. Second, let's just admit, social media is helping shape a culture of narcissism. By Google's definition, narcissism describes it by excessively interest in or admiration of oneself and one's physical appearance. Everyone, to an extent, naturally cares how they look, and they need for admiration, usually coming from a close loved one. That would do. But on today's day and age, in the world of social media, mostly our up-and-coming generations tend to crave some sort of validation that comes from social platforms that their inner circle might not be able to fill in anymore. A recent study by Psychology Today noted that girls use social media more than boys. 43% of girls versus 31% of boys use it at least an hour a day at age 15. These girls also reported lower levels of happiness and more social emotional difficulties as they grow up. How social media makes it happen, for example, the likes and shares on posts. While it can be a very great tool for business and artists to connect with their fans, it also creates impossible standards on today's society, shaped by influencers like the Kardashians, the Jenners, the girls and women every day whereby default feel impossibly challenged to fit into the fake beauty standards of having to look perfect in order to fit in or be worthy of likes, comments, etc. It is very toxic because mostly the pics you tend to see can seem to be so flawless when they aren't even in real life. They fail to say how they show the behind the scenes. That naturally makes people feel like they aren't doing well. because their body or life doesn't look like that. It helps breed anxiety and depression. Sometimes people do not even post on social media because they feel like their pics aren't worthy enough or to show off, or feel like they will be judged. Or even worse, they feel like they won't even get enough likes, so why even bother? When in reality, the world needs every voice to be heard. In an attempt to fix this, in an article covered by Business Insider, Instagram has already experimented with removing likes in 7 countries. In a tweet made by Instagram's official account, tweeted that the change would allow users to focus on the photos and videos you share, not how many likes they get. By users focusing on the metrics, allows in a way for people to lose a sense of freedom. Because of the backlash you might get if you speak your mind, it happens to be somewhat controversial. You also can get bullied or judged by others, so oftentimes people hold back on sharing freely their thoughts, their lifestyles, their opinions. Technically, their voice. Lastly, everyone has an account nowadays, sometimes 3. My dog has one, why not? He's a modern pup. It's a place where we all stay up to date, where we overshare, sometimes more than others, but it has also become a place like the hashtag we heard before, hashtag fake news. For this reason, research by nationalacademyofsciences.org sheds light on reducing the spread of misinformation, especially on social media. It is indeed a major challenge. In a place where you can find the spread of propaganda and fear of and misinformation, that the media seems to shape our perceptions to suit political or hidden agendas. They never report the whole story, just what they want us to know so we can form a predictable opinion. In other words, manipulation. Or even worse than fake news, fake sources. If it isn't coming from a reportable and credible source of, for example, CNN, New York Times, Forbes, it isn't coming from a large organization like these, then they might as well be coming from a bored 17-year-old in Brazil, stuck in his room. Research by trendmicro.com shows that governments are starting to recognize that fake news is something that must be actively fought. Various government agencies are now debunking and even punishing sites that do publish misinformation or information with the intent to do bad. For business owners, celebrities, or even the average Joe can now sue someone for defamation, which is the act of damaging a good reputation of someone. In conclusion, I realize that social media has created a lot of good things and has brought us closer to long-lost people in our lives. And maybe, in a good way, to keep your kids in check and knowing what there are at all times. But if you can do it, so can someone else. It really is a double-edged sword. If you see an episode of Black Mirror called The Nosedive, you will see how social media literally controls your life, how it can ruin your life or your business by simply having a bad review, or maybe your new boss came across an old picture of you and they start judging you when they don't know the full story. And let's not forget the impossible standards it imposes on our younger generations, which is why I believe social media, it does more toxic than good, and we could fix it by removing the likes in the post to avoid so much narcissist being born from it. Definitely avoiding phones in certain areas like churches, and maybe even have a class to teach the up and coming generations on the good and the bad of social media so they can be more responsible with how to use it, because in the end it comes down to educated users to even determine how to spot fake news, and just bring awareness of these techniques will empower everybody, especially our up and coming generation that doesn't know a world without the use of social media.